Hello, my name is Michael, and I obsess. I come across something that grabs me and I consume until I can't take anymore, and then I'm on to the next. Some obsessions last a week, others a lifetime. It is my intention to explore these obsessions with you as they occur while the passion is hot. Welcome to Eclectic Obsessions.
Just imagine a world where you will hold your entire future in the palm of your hand, when a tiny glowing crystal will guide you through an existence in which each day is more wonderful than the last, where it will be possible for you to obtain the fulfillment of every fantasy, the satisfaction of every vanity, the absolute attainment of every wish.
Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer presents the Saul David production of Logan's Run. A fantastic journey through a world beyond imagination. Welcome to the 23rd century. The perfect world of total pleasure. Imagine a world in which you need never be alone. You touch a switch, turn a dial, and the perfect lover steps into your arms. Every pleasure is yours to experience.
Runner!
There's just one catch.
When the tiny crystal in the palm of your hand flashes its final message, your time is up. Michael York is Logan.
Run, Logan!
Policeman in a perfect world.
No!
Trained to track down runners.
Run, Logan!
Until he is forced to run himself.
He's a runner!
Logan! I'm your friend, I understand. We all go crazy once in a while. But she's a runner, and it's over.
Overwhelming, am I not?
Box, an incredible being. More than human, more than machine. Diabolical guardian of the gateway to freedom. For Logan and the woman who loves him.
Terminator.
Now!
I've never seen a face like that before. That must be the look of being old.
MGM takes you into a new age of adventure in the first motion picture of the 23rd century. Logan's Run. It begins where imagination ends.
I saw this on television many times as a child and always loved it. Didn't understand half of it, but loved it nonetheless. In later years, I have come to understand and appreciate it even more. With a recent Blu-ray purchase, I now have it locked in for life. We will be exploring Logan's Run on this episode of Eclectic Obsessions. Sometime in the 23rd century, the survivors of war, overpopulation, and pollution are living in a great domed city sealed away from the forgotten wasteland outside. Here, in an ecologically balanced world, mankind lives only for pleasure, freed by the servo mechanisms which provide everything. There's just one catch. Life must end at 30 unless reborn in the fiery ritual of Carousel. Logan's Run is a 1976 American science fiction film directed by Michael Anderson and starring Michael York, Jenny Agutter, Richard Jordan, Roscoe Lee Brown, Farrah Fawcett, and Peter Ustinov. The screenplay by David Goodman is based on the book Logan's Run by William F. Nolan and George Clayton Johnson. It depicts a utopian future society on the surface, later revealed as a dystopia where the population and the consumption of resources are maintained in an equilibrium by killing everyone who reaches the age of 30. The story follows the actions of Logan 5, a Sandman whose job it is to terminate others who have attempted to escape death and is now faced with termination himself. Produced by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the film uses only the basic premise from the novel, that everyone must die at a set age and that Logan runs off with a female companion named Jessica while being chased by another Sandman named Francis. The novel differs from the movie in that Earth's population hits critical mass in the year 2000 AD, and by 2126 AD, Last Day is set at the age of 21. Where a person is brought to a sleep shop and killed by inhaling a pleasure-inducing gas. Also in the novel, Francis is revealed to be Ballard, a 42-year-old man who helps runners escape. Sanctuary is an old Earth colony on Mars that Ballard helps them to escape to on a rocket. MGM's early attempts to adapt the book led to development hell. Producer George Pal's attempt was troubled by competing views of what the film's story should be, including the possibility of incorporating symbolism of real-life issues. Rewriting the screenplay would have taken between 2 and 3 months, and the budget would have to have been reassessed. American International Pictures offered to buy Pal's projects, including Logan's Run, for $200,000, but MGM declined, only willing to accept a minimum of $350,000. Pal left the project, and Saul David assumed responsibility in 1974, with Soylent Green author Stanley R. Greenberg assigned to write. Greenberg devised the idea of Carousel, but afterwards dropped off the project. David Goodman wrote a new screenplay, raising the age of death from 21 to 30 to allow for more actors to be considered for casting. Logan's Run explores both utopian and dystopian themes, with the idea that characters willingly die instead of reaching advanced ages, reflecting the idea that utopias require its participants to give something up in order to create harmony and uniformity. Common dystopian themes include an evil ruling authority, the confiscation of children from parents, life in a city, and the idea of human overpopulation, in this case causing the protagonist to leave the urban environment. Prominent concepts in the film are the dangers of hedonism, youth worship, and particularly the dangers of government-sponsored euthanasia. The hedonism is primarily conveyed in the form of sensuality and images of sexual abandon. Author Barna William Donovan argues this serves to criticize many social developments underway in the 1970s, targeting the me generation. Writer Robert Tinnell hypothesizes the design of the city, reminiscent of a shopping mall, is also suggestive of anti-consumerist sentiment. The film may ultimately serve as a warning against overthrowing older generations, aimed at young viewers following the counterculture movements in the 1960s. Another interpretation is that individualism, the freedom to live and be, is curbed by social mechanisms telling citizens to have a good life for only a limited time. Logan, originally part of an artificial society centered on pleasure and spectacle, becomes re-individualized and defies a conformist system. In the year 2274, the remnants of human civilization lived in a sealed city contained beneath a cluster of geodesic domes, a utopia run by a computer that takes care of all aspects of life, including reproduction. The citizens live a hedonistic lifestyle, but to prevent overpopulation, everyone must undergo the rite of Carousel when they reach the age of 30. There, they are killed under the guise of being renewed. To track this, each person is implanted at birth with a life clock crystal in the palm of the hand that changes color as they get older and begins blinking as they approach their last day. Most residents accept this chance for rebirth, but those who do not and attempt to flee the city are known as runners. An elite team of policemen known as Sandmen, outfitted in predominantly black uniforms and serving in an agency of the city called Deep Sleep, are assigned to pursue and terminate runners as they try to escape. Logan 5 and Francis 7 are both Sandmen. After terminating a runner to whose presence they were alerted during a carousel ride, Logan finds an Ankh among his possessions. Later that evening, he meets Jessica 6, a young woman also wearing an Ankh pendant. Logan takes the Ankh to the computer, which tells him that it is a symbol for a secret group whose members help the runners find Sanctuary, a mythic place where they will be safe to live out the rest of their lives.
Approach and identify. Sit facing the screen, Logan 5. Identify. Logan 5. Do you identify this object?
Negative. Question, what is it?
That is the name of the object, Ankh. Do you identify this word, sanctuary?
Negative.
Sanctuary is a pre-catastrophe code word used for a place of immunity.
I don't understand.
The object Ankh has been identified with the code word sanctuary.
Logan learns from the computer that the Sandmen have lost 1,056 runners this way. The computer instructs Logan to find Sanctuary and destroy it, a mission which it codenames Procedure 03303, which he must keep secret from the other Sandmen of Deep Sleep. Then, by a procedure it calls retrogram, the computer changes the color of his life clock to flashing red, suddenly making him 4 years closer to Carousel. Scared, he asks if the 4 years will be restored to him when his mission is completed, but receives no response. In order to escape this, Logan is now forced to become a runner. Logan meets Jessica and explains his situation. They meet with the underground group that leads them to the periphery of the city.
You can have any woman in the city. What do you really want? Why show me?
Because I'm going to run.
Why tell me?
You know something.
About running? Dying? What?
Both, but running is what I'm interested in.
I know what everyone knows. Try like hell for renewal. You have the same chance as anyone else. Carousel.
Look, don't you understand? It's different now because it's me. My life. Help me.
How can I? Where did you get that?
I got it from a runner.
And then you killed him, right?
It was my job. But now it's different. Believe me.
I don't.
Speak to your friends for me, Jessica.
What friends?
Look, I don't have much time.
I never heard of a Sandman running, ever.
And I never heard of Sanctuary.
Logan learns that the Ankh symbol is actually a key that unlocks a secret exit from the city. They come out into a frozen cave with Francis following closely behind. In the cave, they meet Box, a robot designed to capture food for the city from the outside. Logan discovers to his horror that Box also captures escaped runners and freezes them for food. Before Box can freeze Logan and Jessica, they escape, causing the cave to collapse on the robot. Once outside, Logan and Jessica notice that their life clocks are no longer operational. They see the sun for the first time and discover that the remains of human civilization have become a wilderness. They explore an old, seemingly abandoned city which once was Washington, D.C. In the ruins of the United States Senate chamber, they discover an elderly man living with many cats. His appearance is a shock to them, since neither has ever seen anyone over the age of 30. The old man recounts what he remembers about what happened to humanity outside the city, and Logan realizes that Sanctuary has always been a myth. However, Francis has followed them, and he and Logan fight. Logan fatally wounds Francis. As he dies, Francis sees that Logan's life clock is now clear and assumes Logan has renewed.
Logan! Logan! Why, Logan? Why? Is this good? Is this what you want?
Francis.
We had good times. I let you go. You wouldn't terminate a runner, and I let you go. And I covered for you! Why did you let her? And now, I have to finish you. You are terminated, runner.
Francis, look at your palm. Go on. Look at it. Go on, look at it. Believe me, it's true.
This isn't the truth. This is a lie! Francis, stop! Listen! That was the right shot. Watch out now. He's tricky. He'll fool you. Logan. You renewed.
Logan and Jessica persuade the old man to return to the city with them. Leaving the man outside, the two enter and try to convince everyone that Carousel is a lie and unnecessary. The two are captured by other Sandmen and taken to the computer, which interrogates Logan about procedure 03303 and asks if he completed his mission. Logan insists there is no sanctuary. What he had found was old ruins exposed, an old man, and that the missing runners were all frozen. These answers are not accepted by the computer even after scanning Logan's mind, and the computer overloads, causing the city's systems to fail violently and release the exterior seals. Logan, Jessica, and the other citizens flee the ruined city. Once outside, the citizens see the old man, the first human they have met who is older than 30, proving that they can, indeed, live their lives much longer.
Logan 5. You were assigned to find a place called Sanctuary. Report.
There is no sanctuary.
Unacceptable. The answer does not program. You were assigned to locate missing runners. State what you found.
All frozen.
The input does not program, Logan 5. You may not resist.
An old man.
You must not resist, Logan 5. Did you find Sanctuary? broke city seals and went outside. Confirm outside.
All ruined, exposed. There is no
Logan 5,
sanctuary.
answer the question. Input contrary. Input contrary. Contrary. May not. Resist. Will not resist. Logan 5. Unacceptable. 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 Does not plan. Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Special effects artists L.B. Abbott and Glenn Robinson regarded Carousel as the most difficult part of the film to portray, requiring hidden wires to depict the levitation. For the scene where Logan is interrogated by the Deep Sleep Central computer, it was decided genuine holograms would be most convincing, with Saul David advocating a new hologram effect be created. The filmmakers also made use of special wide-angle lenses not generally available at the time. It became the first film to use Dolby Stereo on 70mm prints. 9 entire sound stages were used at MGM in Culver City, California, hosting a miniature city among the largest of its kind built to date. Producers saved $3 million by finding readily available locations in numerous Dallas buildings, including Apparel Mart at the Dallas Market Center for the Great Hall, Oz Restaurant and Nightclub for the Love Shop, and Pegasus Place for the Sandman headquarters. The Fort Worth Water Gardens and the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Houston were also utilized, as well as the sewage disposal plant in El Segundo, California, which was used for the underground escape sequences.
Meanwhile, I was working on what was to be one of the most complex technical pictures, and the biggest picture MGM had made for many, many years, particularly the thing called Carousel. Carousel was a device where the story was that you lived until the age of 30. At the age of 30, you surrendered, you went to Carousel, and in a ceremony, you were killed, you died. But if you could reach, you were transported up towards the ceiling of Carousel, where if you reached the top, the ring at the top, and touched it, you would be renewed. Your life would be spared, you would be renewed. And so the goal was, hope springs eternal was the theme. In other words, even when you're sentenced to death, if you can reach that ring, then you can survive. In fact, in the story, you realize later that there was no eternal life, there was no ring, and no one had ever touched it. And so it was merely a way of inducing the people to accept death, but accept the possibility that there was life to come in a society that had everything. It was the land of pleasure, the land of joy. Catch was that you died at 30. And so to build Carousel, they decided to open the tank at MGM where I had shot the wreck of the Mary Dear and put huge engines in that would turn the turntable, that would bring people around, and rotate the top at the same time and put strings in or wires in that would pull the people up. And the idea was that 20 or 30 people at a time would ride around like a merry-go-round on wires which had to be invisible because it should look like gravitation. The wires would be invisible and turn at the same time, all on hydraulics. So it was an engineering feat of some magnitude. In fact, at one time they thought that the floor at MGM, even the floor beneath the tank, would collapse, would be too heavy, wouldn't be heavy enough to support it. And this and other technical things were going on, costume designs, makeup, hair, the building of other sets, and the choosing of locations. And the film started shooting. And again, it was incredible to be back in the saddle at MGM on the old Stage 30. In fact, at one point, Stage 30 was opened and joined with Stage 29 because Stage 30 wasn't big enough for the Ice Palace set which they built. So it took up 2 sets. And so it was on a scale and a magnitude that really was very, very lavish. And it felt incredible to have, again, all this this great technical advice and these marvelous technicians at my disposal, and that was the way I made the film.
Post-production took 8 months, including completion of the score. The score was composed and conducted by Jerry Goldsmith, with orchestrations by Arthur Morton. The score adheres to 2 distinct sound palettes, strings, keyboards, and abstract electronics only for cues inside the city, and full orchestra for outside. The first release of portions of the score was on MGM Records on LP in 1976. The complete expanded and newly remixed score was issued on CD in January 2002 by Film Score Monthly. The film was previewed for test audiences prior to its release. A few sequences were edited or shortened as a result. These included a longer sequence in the ice cave, where Box asked Logan and Jessica to pose for his ice sculpture. This was cut due to extensive nudity so that the film could receive a PG rating and for length. Other scenes were removed, including a sequence where Francis hunts down a runner by himself at the beginning of the film. At the end of the process, the budget had escalated from the projected $3 million to $9 million, an expensive film for 1976. It was noted for being the most expensive MGM film made in 10 years, with most of the budget going to the sets.
And I remember at one point, being kind of on a set with lots of electric cars going by and things happening, and there was a lot of effects going on. And Michael Anderson just stood there and he looked at it all and he said, "Isn't it terrific?" He said, it's just like being a child with a train set." And you just felt that everything was a joy, and it was all games and all, but good. All went to something good, and I think that kind of comes over really in the film. Is a slightly out of time piece in a funny way that is that tells a story that's almost like sort of Alice in Wonderland or something.
When things were difficult and when wasn't finding work as easily as before, he suddenly came and suggested I should play the 100-year-old man in Logan's Run, which was a surprise for me. Slightly depressing because I turned up in Hollywood and I said to Mr. Westmore, one of the famous family of makeup men, I said, "It's terrible. I've got to play a man of 100 years. It means I have to be at the studio 5 o'clock every morning to be made up." He said, no, I think 10 minutes will be enough. I was very upset by that. But he did it in 10 minutes by spraying all sorts of horrible substances onto my face.
There are conventions held all over the land, Logan's Run, where in fact, I was invited to one, and I remember being really perplexed and puzzled by this fan who wanted to know why a certain scene that was in the trailer was missing from the final cut. Of course, I had no idea, and also it is some time ago. But I'm happy to say that I took as a souvenir of the film one of those black robes. Terrible nylon robes. All our clothes were nylon, and we shot in the hottest of the summer. So one day I will accept an invitation to go to one of these conventions and wear my robe again.
In its first 5 days in theaters in 1976, Logan's Run grossed $2.5 million. The film finished its run with a gross of $25 million in North America and a solid performance in other territories. The film is credited with helping MGM recover from debt and was a hit with young audiences in particular. A December 1976 Entertainment Today article stated that Logan's Run was named Best Science Fiction Film of 1976 by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. The Academy had previously given individual Golden Scrolls to the film for cinematography, art direction, set decoration, costuming, makeup, and publicity. The film received a generally mixed response. Roger Ebert gave the film a 3-star rating, calling the film a vast, silly extravaganza with a plot that's a cross between Arthur C. Clarke's The City and the Stars and elements of Planet of the Apes, and that delivers a certain amount of fun. Variety staff called the film rewarding in its escapism and intelligence. Vincent Canby of the New York Times was less positive. Just why and for what particular purpose Logan makes his run is anything but clear after you've sat through nearly 2 hours of this stuff. Logan's Run is less interested in logic than in gadgets and spectacle, but these are sometimes jazzily effective and even poetic. Had more attention been paid to the screenplay, the movie might have been a stunner. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave the film 0 stars out of 4, calling it unquestionably the worst major motion picture I've seen this year. He described the technological gadgets as lackluster, and the script loaded with stupidities that had a preview audience laughing in derision. What he found most contemptible is the way the film never justifies any of its characters' behavior. Jessica's subversive group doesn't do anything except hide in what looks like a boiler room. The main story of Logan's flight consists of a simple fistfight. He concluded, Logan's Run is an artistic con job from beginning to end. Charles Champlin of the Los Angeles Times was mixed, writing that its visual razzle-dazzle propels Logan's Run past some foolish concocting, indifferent acting, slow pacing, and uncertain toning. In 2000, Ian Nathan wrote in Empire that the film can't escape its 70s origins, but contains warnings about decadence, ageism, and allowing technology and science to run riot, done to a disco groove. In his 2015 movie guide, Leonard Maltin gave the film 2 stars, finding the first half dazzling and the second dreary. In 2015, Rolling Stone named it 27th among the 50 best sci-fi movies of the 1970s. The film has a 68% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 28 reviews. At the Academy Awards, the film won a special award for visual effects, tied with the 1976 remake of King Kong, indicating Logan's Run made its mark in visual and special effects that few previous science fiction films had the money for, including innovative use of holograms and wide-angle lenses. Logan's Run was very popular at the Saturn Awards, winning 6 awards, including Best Science Fiction Film. The film was also in competition for the Golden Prize at the 10th Moscow International Film Festival. Marvel Comics published a short-lived comic book series in 1977 with George Perez drawing 5 issues between January and May 1977 with acceptable sales. The comics adapted the film's story in 5 issues and briefly continued beyond. In his art, Perez sought to follow the art direction of the film. The book was cancelled after issue 7 in July 1977. Intrigued by the film's success with young viewers, CBS and MGM Television paid Nolan $9 million to base a television series on the film starring Gregory Harrison and Heather Menzies. The series aired 14 episodes on CBS from September 16, 1977 to February 6, 1978, but was cancelled before the end of the season. The series maintains the basic premise and visual style of the film, depicting Logan and Jessica escaping from the city of domes, only to be pursued by Francis, played by Randolph Powell, and various other Sandmen. Traveling in a futuristic hovercraft-like vehicle which they find in an abandoned building in the remains of Washington, D.C., they embark on a trek through post-apocalyptic United States in order to find sanctuary. On their journey, they encounter strange human societies, robots, and even aliens. The domed city, including Carousel, was seen only in the pilot and 2 other episodes, using recycled footage from the film. In a change from the book and film, the television series had the city secretly run by a cabal of older citizens who promised Francis a life beyond the age of 30 as a city elder if he can bring back the fugitives. Logan and Jessica were joined on their journey by an android named Rem, played by Donald Moffat, whom they came across in a futuristic city run by robots.
Oh, the birds! How beautiful! Look how many there are.
Why not? They know where life is good.
Logan.
What?
Do you think that... Well, I mean, is it possible that this could be sanctuary?
I wouldn't know. It is peaceful here. But if it is, there would be all the people from the City of Domes, all the runners.
Hello? Who are you?
I'm Karen 4.
You're from the City of Domes?
I was. You're Logan.
How did you know?
Oh, we heard about the Sandman who became a runner. Congratulations.
Who told you?
Other runners.
Other runners? Where are we?
Why, in Sanctuary, of course.
Sanctuary?
Where are the other runners?
In Sanctuary.
But you said that this is...
Oh, this is just a defensive area we used to protect us from intruders. I'll take you to Sanctuary. Follow me.
Oh, wait. We have a friend back in the desert.
Oh, you mean Ram? I know. Look, we'll get word to him.
How did you know his name?
There's time to answer all your questions later. But first, the Protector wants to meet you.
The Protector?
He rules Sanctuary.
Well, there they are.
Yes, I wonder what they'll be like.
We'll soon find out.
Welcome to Sanctuary.
So you're Logan and Jessica. We've been expecting you. I'm Joanna, and this is the Protector.
Karen told us that you rule Sanctuary?
That's an overstatement. Here, each man rules himself.
Well, from all that we've seen, everything's so beautiful here.
That was done so that the runners who came here would feel more at home.
Are they happy?
Oh, yes. Each is free to live in the manner that suits him best.
You have no idea how much this means to us.
Oh, but I think we do.
Would you two like to freshen up a bit before we continue your orientation? Karen can show you to your rooms.
In the mid-1990s, Warner Brothers began development of a film remake. In March 2004, director Bryan Singer was brought in to develop and direct. In October, the director said he had begun a pre-visualization, which would be completed by the time he finished production of his current project. The following December, a first draft had been turned in, with further development of the project to take place in Sydney, Australia. It was said that the remake would contain more action than the original film, describing the premise to be a remake of the concept of the movie plus the book. In February 2005, screenwriter Christopher McQuarrie was hired to rewrite the script, with filming to take place in Australia. In February 2006, Logan's Run was scheduled to begin production in September or October of 2006 in Vancouver. By May, Singer confirmed that he would not direct Logan's Run. Directors Robert Schwenke and James McTeague were approached for the project, but neither ultimately signed on. In August 2007, the project was reinvigorated, with Joseph Konisky hired as the new director and a new script being written by screenwriter Timothy J. Sexton. Kaczynski had made a presentation to Warner Brothers, including graphic art and animated pre-visualization that illustrated his plan for the film, whose low budget appealed to the studio. No progress was made, and Kaczynski moved on to other projects. In June 2010, Carl Eric Rinch was hired to direct, and screenwriter Alex Garland was hired to write the film. Rinch ultimately pulled out of the project due to scheduling conflicts. As of 2011, Danish filmmaker Nicholas Winding Refn was attached to direct the remake, starring actor Ryan Gosling and Rose Byrne, with screenwriter Andrew Baldwin. In October 2012, Justin Kroll of Variety tweeted that Gosling was no longer attached to the project. As of June 2013, video game developer Ken Levine was confirmed to be attached to write the screenplay. On April 6, 2015, it was revealed from the tracking board that the latest concept for the film was based on a female lead. Currently, the project is in the hands of director Simon Kinberg and screenwriter Ryan Condal. I can't pretend that nostalgia doesn't play a huge factor into my love of this movie. It has not aged well. The effects are very cheesy, the acting is fairly wooden, and the directorial feel is more that of a TV movie than a theatrical release. The story and script, however, are solid, and all of the previous just lends charm to my experience. I am biased, though, as I have been obsessed with this for years. Thank you for listening to Eclectic Obsessions. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe on iTunes. Leave me a review. All 5-star reviews will be read on the show. You can follow the show on Facebook at Eclectic Obsessions, on Twitter at Eclectic Obsess 1, on Instagram at Eclectic Obsessions Podcast, and on YouTube at Eclectic Obsessions. I'd love to hear what you think. Feel free to email the show at ecobpod@gmail.com. We'll be back in 1 month's time with a new Eclectic Obsession.